Hey, let's film a video how to start an online bookkeeping and like what does it actually take to make an online business successful, because it's very different than like a brick and mortar business, and if you don't really understand these aspects and elements, it's going to cause you to struggle a lot more than what you have to. Like, these are the things that back when I started my accounting firm in 2015, I had no idea even existed, and they were just attacking me every single day. I had no reason or no understanding like what was causing me to not succeed. Also, before we get started, if you want some help growing your business, but maybe you just don't know what you don't know, and you felt that if you had someone who was a little bit further ahead than you, who could walk you by the hand in hand, step by step towards your goals. If you think that would have some value, go ahead and click the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program. Awesome, so back to the video. So, number one, it's all about consistency in the beginning to develop skills. So, what a lot of people don't understand is like the amount of energy it actually takes to really develop internet skill set and internet know-how. Now, sometimes what happens is like, this is not everybody, but some people like they've spent a majority of their career in like the accounting field. Maybe they're a director of finance, maybe they're a senior accountant, maybe they're like a managerial accountant, etc., etc. But they kind of attribute the accounting skill set with the only skill set that's important for starting your business. Because like, well, after all, someone has to do the work. It's like, yeah, but that's like 20 to 25% of the whole game. The real game when it comes to a business, and we'll say business first, is marketing, sales, pricing, doing the work, right? In an online business, it's marketing, and marketing will be composed of like how do you get your message out there, as well as how do you manage different internet platforms to be able to do it. So there's micro skills in there where if you don't have those micro skill sets developed, you're never really going to get the opportunity to have a consistent amount of clients. You might get one or two, like maybe get a referral or like a friend of a friend or a friend of your family, right? But you're probably not going to get 5, 10, 15, 20, which is generally what most people need in order to leave their job, right? Because let's assume that worst case scenario, you're pricing your clients like $500 a month. In order to get to 10K per month, you're going to need 20 clients, right? So it's like you're not going to get 20 clients just from having strong accounting skill set. Because one myth that a lot of people have is like, you just get a client and they're going to refer all their friends and you're going to get a bunch of clients like that. That does happen to some people, but it does not happen to the majority of people. There are a lot of people that I've either coached or mentored who were running their business for a period of years and never got a single referral from any of their clients. It's just like, I know it sounds weird because like you probably heard like one or two guys up the street, they're like, yeah, I grew my business through referrals. It's like that's not always how it works, especially nowadays when there's so much more competition. Because there's a lot of people that are trying to start their business. Now, there's not a lot of people that are doing it well, but as the competition level goes higher, the amount of referrals that most people are going to get are going to drop, because whereas before they would have had trouble like finding someone, they would go and ask their friend like, hey, who do you know? But nowadays, they don't need to go that far to find someone. Like, they can turn the corner and, like, literally they're going to run into a bookkeeping firm or CPA firm or a networking event and they'll find someone. So you have to be better if you're going to be utilizing the internet only to go and get some clients. So it's all about consistency in the beginning, right? Now, when I think of consistency, it's not just about working hard. It's about doing the right things at a very sustainable pace that you can do every single weekday for the entire year. And you're not going to have to do it every single weekday. I'm going to talk about automations in a second, but it's something you need to be able to be consistent on over the course of a year. Because generally it's going to take you about 6 months to a year in order to get to six figures in a lot of cases. Like, best case scenario, it's probably going to take you like 3-4 months, maybe 6 months. Worst case can probably take you a year, 2 years. And that's the year to 2 years is generally what most people do if they're on their own. That's why a lot of times you'll hear like business owners like, yeah, my first year of business I did like $29,000. Versus whenever you see someone like who's done like a mentorship program, oftentimes like they're at six figures by the end of like 6 months. It's not that it's like there's magic formula within it. It's just when you buy a program, you're condensing down the time it takes, because I'm helping people avoid a lot of the mistakes that most people are going to make. So in terms of consistency, it's all about finding patterns. So, I learned this from like actually watching this like stock trading video a number of years ago, and the gentleman basically said like, my secret when it comes to doing really well is I'm always trying to find patterns. So it's almost like I imagine I'm like an oil miner or like an oil drilling company. I scour the globe. I scour the online trading networks to find one or two different patterns or stocks that does really well and it's very, very predictable. Then every single day I just go and drill inside that well a little bit deeper and I get more results and I get more and I get more and more and more and more. And then while I'm still drilling this one, I'm trying to find other wells that are just as good. And then pretty much over time I start having 4, 5, 6, 7 wells and my income keeps going up and up and up. And I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. What if I did that with, my advertising? What if I did that with, getting clients? And I started thinking in terms of that, and that's what causes us to have these consistent results. Because once you find, where your wells are, so that could be, what niche responds best to you, what social media platform you do better on, what is the outreach message that you use, how many messages you have to use in order to go get it. Once you have that pattern, you know what that is, you can start growing very, very predictably, okay? Predictable is the key word there. You want to be predictable because you can be predictable. You can essentially brute force whatever your income goal is within a long enough time period. Okay, so now that we have that consistency down, it's about developing skills. Okay, so skill sets are a little bit different than consistency because as your skill gets higher and higher, you have to do less and less work and less necessarily output on the daily basis. So if you were terrible, if you could figure out a way to contact 1,000 business owners every single day for the year, there's no way you don't hit your goal. But that's very unlikely for 99% of people, right? So instead, you get better at skill sets, so maybe you can talk to 5 people a day and still go reach your goals, right? So it drastically decreases the amount of output you have to do. So the number of posts you have to make, the number of people you have to message, the number of networking events you go down. Because as you get better and you get more skillful, you can do less and less because you're more effective. Now, how do you do that? It kind of goes back to that consistency, right? So it's all about repetition. So in order to get good at consultation calls, you have to do consultation calls. In order to get good at booking consultation calls, you have to book consultation calls. In order to get good at social media, you have to do social media, right? And most people underestimate the sheer amount of repetition it takes to develop skill set. I was watching this e-commerce video the other day, and this would inspire this video. The guy's he basically was doing some kind of course that told him e-commerce, and he did $1.2 million in 6 months, and I was like, whoa, that's cool, right? That's cool. That's the dream. You make $1 million in 6 months. That's $2.4 million a year if he keeps up that same pace. And he basically said, okay, so when I was first researching it, I had to go and find 30 products. So whenever I do 30 products, each product probably takes him about an hour. So he had to spend 30 hours just looking for products to think about what he was going to sell. And he basically is doing drop shipping. So they basically have a product, they don't buy it, they just sell it to the public, and when the public buys it, then they go and talk to the supplier to ship it out to them, kind of thing. But you can't just pick a random product. You can't just select a pen, right? Because there's a million competitors and it's just very hard. So you have to go find what is the ideal mousetrap. Let's say that's fancy camera battery. That's not something that's very readily available. So you have to do a lot of research. So he had to do 4 batches of 30. That means 30 hours times 4. He had to spend 120 hours to go find one product. And then he had to go and talk to the suppliers. While he was talking to suppliers, he had to go think of 30 to 50 different ways he could advertise the camera battery thing. So that's 30 different ideas. It couldn't be the same. It had to be different. And then on top of that, once he got it, he had to be able to go and film some videos to promote it. So on those ad angles, 30 to 50, he had to go film each 30 to 50 ones, and then he had to go and clone the ones that were either performing the best or doing the best 5 times each. So you have to change one element about it. And I was like, what the heck? That is so much detail. And he had to do that 5 times because it wasn't just one product that got him the $1 million. He had 5 different products. So 120 times 5 plus 30 ideas times 5 plus 5 clones times 5 different products. It's the amount of repetition this guy had was so crazy to me. I was like, oh, that's why. Because I used to do e-commerce, so I wasn't very good at e-commerce. That's why I didn't do well with e-commerce. There was not that level of detail, and it's there was no way. But the same thing in business. It's people underestimate how much they actually have to do in the beginning to get good at something. And even go back to the story. This guy was so good. He was like trying to film like this like video, and he said, okay, so he had it turned this way. He said, so you see on the butt of this, like it was like a hairdryer he had in his hand. You see the butt of this hairdryer, like the sun is going here. It's not very attractive. But if I turn the hairdryer like this, and then the light just kind of cascades towards, I was like, the level of not only repetition but detail. I wouldn't even have thought about that. And I film videos every single day. It's like, that's what separates someone that's going to be successful versus someone that's not successful. And it's like, it's you just have to get good. And then once you get good, like, so you're consistent, you have the skill set, now, you can use automation tools to go and move faster and get your time back, essentially, so you can reprioritize your time towards actually working with the clients. Because on the one hand, it is good to get the marketing skill set. And like, once you get the marketing skill set once, you're basically done with the marketing skill set. But then over time, you're going to start shifting more towards doing the actual client work. So the marketing and sales and everything kind of like takes a back seat for a while as you've hit your goal and after you hit your goal, right? So it's like, if you're still trying to grow, like let's say you're at like $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month, but you have a lot of client work, right, and you have a job, you need some automations to keep getting those like extra like residual clients that you need to go and get over that hump of the 10K to 12K per month mark, and that's what's going to happen. The automation tools will take you there. Now, the interesting thing about this business model is like everything we talk about in this business model, like, it's just tricky in the beginning. Once you have that down, like once you get your first set of one, like your first, I really consider after you get about 3 clients, and if you've gotten 3 clients from the same marketing channel, you found a pattern. Right? Because then you can say, okay, so how many people did I have to do a consultation call with? How many quotes did I have to put out in order to get one client, right? Because now it's not statistically significant, but it's enough to kind of show there's a pattern, right? One could be luck, 2 could be luck, 3 is generally a pattern, right? So now you have your key set of key performance indicators. So let's say that when you have your key performance indicators, I call those KPIs for short, if you ever hear that slang inside of our course or our programs, it basically allows you to predict the future by looking at the past. Now, let's say that to get one client, I had to do 10 consultation calls. And these are just numbers. It doesn't have to be like what's actual real for you, right? But I'm just to make it simple. Okay, so 1 out of 10 consultation calls that I do is going to pay me money. Okay, so if I want 5 clients, then I need to do 5 sets of 10. That's 50 consultation calls to get 5 clients. Right, so I can look at what my existing close rate is, and I can move it over to what the future is, and I know how much work I have to do. So it kind of puts an end goal on the work you have to do to go and reach your goal, and just makes things much more attainable. And then you just keep doing that until you reach the goal. And then when you want to set a new goal, you just expand how many people you do. Okay, so I have to get another 5 clients, I need another 50 consultation calls. You just keep doing the work until you go and get those results. And then you can start improving on those too, because like let's say in the beginning it was taking 1 out of 10. Well, now maybe as your skill develops, it's going to take you 1 out of 5 consultation calls. So now you're twice as good. So now you only need 25 consultation calls to go and get those 5 clients. And it just it opens up, but it's like the part that everyone struggles with is like that initial like 3 to 6 months. Like if you don't get help in those first 3 to 6 months, like you're really leaving that stuff up to chance. Like I was talking to a lady yesterday who joined our program, and like she had been in business for like 10 years, and it's literally only had like a handful of clients, like never really got over that hump kind of thing. It's just like, it's just so tricky if you don't know what you're doing, man. Especially like if you have a lot of service you can offer. Like let's say that you do bookkeeping, tax planning, you do tax resolution, tax prep, CFO services, consulting, government contract. Like the more service you have, the harder, because each service is going to take a certain skill set to sell. So now you have 6 different things you're trying to sell. So it's like if you don't get help, you're more likely to quit because of how tricky things are, especially if you have a good job. Like that's something no one talks about. If you have a good job, it's actually easier for someone who has an average job, like maybe they're making like 60 to like 80K a year. It's easier for people like that to make a business successful than it is for someone who's doing 100 to 150 a year. The reason why it's like 100, once you're over about 120, life is very easy, and generally your bonuses are designed to kind of keep you there, because like it's just good enough to be comfortable, but it's not great enough to actually be like wealthy or affluent, right? But when you're doing like the 60 to 80, it's like your job generally most people don't like their job at that stage, and they're just like they have a solid reason to keep going. So if you're on this end of the extreme, it's like you have to take drastic measures unless you want your life to stay the same. Like, that's the other thing. Your life might not be that bad. You're just not going to have everything you want. You know, so if you're kind of okay with settling with that, then just stay doing what you're doing. Like, it's no point even like starting a business. But if you want more, if you want to be able to retire faster, if you want to be able to have an asset you can sell off when you're ready to retire, when you're ready to go off into the sunset, right? Then I would recommend getting some help doing it, and like do it the easy way so that you don't have to kind of struggle. Now, either way, whether you're in the you have a job you don't like, or you have a great job that you do like, I would recommend if you want some help going and like getting clients, going and building your business and reaching your financial goals, go ahead and click the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program. Okay, we don't take on a huge number of clients every single month, so there are limited spots. Generally, maximum we take on per month is about 10. Number of different reasons why I do that. Number one is quality of life. I don't want to have like this massive coaching business because I am still running my accounting firm, so it's like you don't want to just a million people that you're coaching at the same time. Number two, since it's smaller, it allows me to be able to go and like do more direct work with you, so that it helps you reach your goal a lot faster, and it just feels more personalized. I know there's a lot of courses out there where it's like a million people inside, and it's like you never feel like the person knows what you're going through, no one ever checks in on you, no one's ever looking out for you. If you want the opposite of that, if you want someone who's there in your corner fighting for you so you can reach your goals, go ahead and click the link inside the description, and let's see if I can help you inside of our program, okay? I will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy. Talk to you soon.